This is Arvin Vohra, founder of Vohra Method, and in this video I'm going to explain what happens when you use AI during Vohra Method classes and why it's a really terrible idea. So I want to describe the way that Vohra Method training is designed. The problems that are actually going to build your skills, the problems that are going to get you ready to answer questions, the toughest questions in the SAT are going to be the hardest problems. The SAT is a test of figuring out new things. To put this in perspective, if I took the SAT right now, there's going to be at least one question that I have no idea how to do. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to figure out that question. All right. And this is not just like a theoretical thing. Just a few days ago, one of my students brought in an SAT question from the actual SAT. I didn't know how to do it. Then I figured it out. The SAT is a test of figuring things out. And the way that we build skills, well, the way that we kind of help students be able to do that, I mean, figuring things out, that's the toughest thing that there is. The way that we help the students do that is can be conceptualized as kind of a ladder. And the way it starts out is we start out with some pretty easy problems. Well, easy by our standards. All right. Our easiest problems, still going to be harder than whatever you're doing at school. So our easy problems take around 3 to 5 minutes. All right. And they get harder and harder. And then you have our mid-range problems. They take about, say, like 10 minutes. Harder problems might take 20 minutes. And then you have our problems that take 30. And then you have about the 45-minute problems. Then you have problems that take about an hour. I'll say 60 minutes plus. All right. The ones that matter are these. Now, this is what everything's about. Like everything else is like leading up to that. This is where you actually build the skills. The skill building is going to come from working on hard problems. It's the only place it comes from. Easy problems, that prepares you to learn how to figure stuff out, but that's not the place where you actually really build these skills. So everything here is about those hard problems. As I often tell folks, 1,000 fools does not make a wise man, and 1,000 easy problems does not equal one hard problem. You will learn more from one 60-minute problem than you would from 61-minute problems. In fact, you will learn more from one 60-minute problem than you will from 20,000 one-minute problems. 60-minute problems may seem like they're taking a long time, but it is the most efficient way to actually build those skills. A single 60-minute problems can build more skill than an entire year of easy stuff. So this is what we do in Vohra Methods. We build up to those tough problems. Now, here's the thing. AIs can't do the tough problems. They can do the easy problems, though. They can do the easy problems just fine. But they can't do the hard problems. And here's what happens if you use an AI. All right? And by the way, we don't have just one 3 to 5. We'll have a few 3 to 5, a few 10. I mean, like it builds up gradually and reasonably. It's not like you have one of these and then one of these. It kind of builds up. So let's say you're using an AI. Well, the 3 to 5 minute problems were there to build some skills. Guess what? Those skills aren't being built. Oh, look, the AI can do a lot of the 10-minute problems too. It might be able to do some of the 20-minute problems. All right. So now look what's happened. You don't have the support system to get to the 30-minute. So imagine this is like a 20-foot ladder. This is, say, like 15 feet in the air, and now you need to jump 15 feet somehow. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't jump 15 feet vertically in the air. And so when you use AIs, you're removing these supports, and then you have to make this leap. And now this problem is no longer a 30-minute problem. Now this thing that should have been a 30-minute problem becomes a lot longer. And it's really difficult to estimate because now we're not using the program as designed, or you're using it incorrectly. If you want to build up to, say, like bench pressing 200 pounds, you start with 50 and then you go to 55 and 60 and you build up gradually. You might be able to predict that might take, say, a year or two. If you just walk in there and try to immediately bench press 200 pounds, you're probably just going to hurt yourself. I mean, there's no way to predict how long a wrong system, an ineffective system, is going to work. And leaping right to the 30-minute problems is not going to be effective. And so this 30-minute problem, which should have only taken 30 minutes, might take 15 hours, might take 15 months. There's no upper limit, by the way, at Vohra method. There's no time where we cut off the problem and say, okay, you spent enough, let me give you the answer, because then we'd be removing that rung for the next one. We can't do that. It's not strictness for the sake of strictness. It's that we can't do that. If we give you the answer to the 3 to 5, the 10 becomes impossible. If we give the answer to the 10, the 20 becomes impossible. If we give you the answer to the 20, the 30 becomes impossible. If you get the answers for all of these, then the 30, I mean, this could take 15 years. I mean, you might never figure this out. And there have certainly been students over the years that started a Vohra method program and never finished it. They might have started in 10th grade. They didn't finish it by the time they graduated from high school. And that's not because they couldn't do it. It's because they were engaging in some kind of nonsense. And sometimes that nonsense comes from AI, and sometimes that nonsense comes from parents. It doesn't really matter who's removing the bottom rungs. If your parents are telling you the answer, or parents, if you're telling the student the answer, that's what you're doing. You're removing these bottom rungs. And I know that sometimes the students be like, oh my God, 3 to 5 minutes, that's so long at school. I never spend more than 1/1,000,000th of a second. Yeah, that's true, but 3 to 5 minutes is a lot easier than 10 minutes. So removing these bottom rungs, either from parents or from AI or from Google or whatever else, is going to make these harder problems take an unreasonably long time. Well, let's talk about the other thing. It's not like you get a discount for this, right? This thing that should have taken 30 minutes, let's say 30 minutes, the estimated cost of that, if you're doing, say, let's say your package is one that's like, say, 40 an hour, 30 minutes, that's $20. Yeah, that's a reasonable amount of money, I think, to spend on building your intelligence. But now they're not talking about 20 hours. We're talking about $20,000, $20. We're talking about $20,000 to not build your intelligence. This is not useful. This is a waste of time. So using AIs or getting answers from parents or getting any answers from anywhere else builds this up. Now, parents, sometimes a student on the 3 to 5 minute question, they might be taking 6 to 10 minutes. Big deal. So what? Math, reading, grammar, the problems we use at Vohra method are puzzles. They need to be figured out. And so, the AI, at the time of making this video, AI is a relatively new thing, but parents giving answers is not new. And we've seen when students can cajole the answers to easy problems from their parents, they usually do not ever finish the program. It goes on for months and years of misery and frustration, and they never, ever, ever finish it. You're not helping if you remove these lower rungs. I know that working on a problem for 20 or 10 or 5 minutes is going to be unusual to pretty much every student, because at school, schools do exactly what you would expect. They just teachers will give the answer after a fairly short amount of time. So the first reason to avoid AI use is that it removes these lower rungs. But there is a second reason that you need to know about. AIs can't think. They recognize patterns. And they essentially they predict what they're going to see. Not long ago, just a few weeks ago, I was developing the spelling list for spelling synapse. And to get things started, I had GPT create a list of spelling words, and he created a list of 60 spelling words. Then I asked it to expand the list, and it did. And I was like, okay, this is fantastic. And then I realized that it hadn't expanded the list; it just copied over the same 60 words multiple times. And what happened, and the way that as this developed, it got weirder and weirder. So I gave GPT the spelling list. It started out just fine, and then again, it started actually substituting its own words. Like, I'd given it a list of 1,000 words, told it to add the definitions. It started adding its own words that weren't even on the list. And Claude did the same thing. And I even paid for the super high-end version of ChatGPT that's $200 a month just to see if it was any different. Same thing. And as I gave it more and more specific instructions, one time I had it run for 18 hours. And that's an insane amount of processing power. And GPT wasn't reading, it was predicting, it was guessing. And that's what GPT does. That's what AIs do. They don't think through things the way humans do. They have a huge database of what's happened in the world, and they kind of predict what would be the thing to do next. And most of the time, predicting instead of reading is going to be pretty accurate. That's just literally what most of us do when we look at a newspaper. We look at the headlines, and that's enough to figure out the rest of the article. But the SAT or the ACT, the GMAT, the GRE, the LSAT are designed on purpose to make predictive style things not work. So let's look at what happens. There's going to be the sort of expected answer. All right, it's wrong, but it's like what you would kind of expect the answer to be if it wasn't an SAT. It's like what the answer would be. It's something like that, right? And if you put these harder questions into GPT, it's going to give you that wrong answer. All right. Now, here's the thing. You ever have a situation where you get like a kind of a catchy song stuck in your head and you're trying to think of a different song, but you kind of end up kind of thinking of that song to the melody of the catchy song? Though there are certain patterns that are almost like black holes. They pull you towards them. And those patterns pull humans towards them and they pull AIs towards them. So now if GPT is giving you the wrong answer with the wrong reasoning, it's like students get stuck there. They're just like here now. They're like not that this is like where as they try to pull away, they keep coming back to the same wrong answer again and again and again. So GPT was supposed to save time on even that one question, but once it's given that wrong but attractive answer, the answer you would predict, but it is not the right answer, what happens is now students get stuck on that, and they get that idea in their head. It's wrong, but they get it in their head, and they're just there for a long time. And again, we have a situation where it should be 30 minutes, and usually takes about 1 week instead. And obviously, I mean, it's not like you're in class the entire time, but 1 week of class, depending on your program, can still be 10 hours of class, right? So it should have been 30 minutes. Now it's 10 hours. All right. So in other words, it's taken 20 times as long and it's costing 20 times as much. The Vohra method curriculum is by design, on purpose. There are many questions that are designed to kind of throw AIs for a loop. And if you're using an AI, it's going to throw them for the loop and it's going to throw you for a loop. But so those are the questions that I've intentionally designed to mess with AIs. But even the questions that I have not designed to do that, even the questions that are just straight from the SAT or straight from the LSAT, straight from the ACT, they'll still throw AIs for a loop. Here's why. Those questions are designed to make your predictions wrong. Remember, when most people read, they don't read what's there. They predict what they think is going to be there, and that usually works. AIs also do that. Now, if you are predicting instead of reading, you're going to get every hard SAT reading question wrong, every hard LSAT reading question wrong. That's what the point of a standardized test. It's to make predicting not work. So even the questions that are just there, they haven't been, adjusted, they haven't been AI proof, they haven't been anything, will have the same effect on AIs that they have on students, which is that if you're predicting instead of reading, you're going to get it wrong, you're going to get stuck in the wrong place. Students have the ability to predict and they have the ability to read. So a student can make a choice. AIs don't have a choice. AIs can't think. They can only predict. So they will constantly go to the answer you would predict rather than the answer that is right. And that's going to get students stuck there. So there's a lot of AI resistant or AI proof questions. Those are generally the hard questions. Those are the questions that are supposed to take 30 to 60 minutes to solve and can end up, if you're using AI or getting the answer from parents. By the way, this is not an issue of where you're getting the answer from. Whether you get it from your parents or whether you get it from AI, it doesn't make any difference. The point is you need to build those rungs to get to the top of the ladder. If you're not building those rungs, it's not going to work. So those are the two issues with AI. First, you're removing the bottom several rungs of the ladder. All right. That's why at Vohra method, we don't give students the answers because that's just removing the lower rungs. Parents, you should not be giving answers ever to a student because that's removing lower rungs. And that's making the things that would cost, if you want to put it in a dollar amount, would cost $20, might now be costing $1,000 for no gain. It's not better, it's worse. And so don't do it. I mean, it's something that is only slowing things down. It might be getting you a 2 or 3 minute gain for a 400-minute loss. So it's not a good idea educationally. It's certainly not a good idea financially. There's nothing to be gained by doing it. Students, if you are getting the answers from somewhere else, and it doesn't matter where you're getting it, it's not that AI is any worse place to get answers from than anybody else. I mean, you get it from Reddit, it's equally problematic. You're still removing the lower rungs. The one thing that does make AI worse is though it does kind of get students stuck on these wrong answers. And kind of when you get in that habit of predicting instead of reading, you're going to get stuck on the wrong answer. I mean, the entire reading portion of any standardized test is there to see whether you're reading or whether you're predicting. Most people predict instead of read, and then most people get a lot of stuff wrong on standardized reading tests. So anyway, so if you're seeing this, it means that we have detected AI use that we can detect kind of programmatically. There's other things that we can't detect. We can't detect if you're getting the answer from your parents. So this isn't just about AI. This is about don't get the answers from somewhere else, because it's going to slow you down. It's going to mess with your score. It's going to cost you a lot more for no benefit whatsoever. There's nothing to be gained from doing this. So anyway, well, this is the information you're going to need to have, and this is a discussion that I do recommend having. You can have as a family if you want to come and discuss with me. We can absolutely talk about it. But AI is not your ally in this, and neither is getting the answers from anywhere else.